What do LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and my production crew have in common? They all have the champion's mindset. So what is the champion's mindset? You've probably heard that before. You've probably heard it even when you were a kid, even if you played something like soccer or hockey or whatever. You probably heard something about what it meant to be the champion. You probably have a preconceived notion of that. I want to really dissect this idea so we can break down that previous understanding and start to build an understanding that's going to be beneficial to you towards developing not only your business, your personal life, your financial life, your future relationships, and everything else you come into contact with. To be a champion simply means this. It means that you are willing to do what other people won't so that you can receive what other people do not have. Now, that's also kind of vague. So what exactly does that mean? That means being able to put the time, energy, and effort in when you don't want to. You know when something's not working and you're trying your absolute hardest and you don't seem to be able to get it to work. Being a champion means that you're willing to hop back in front of the project. You're willing to hop back over to your computer, back over to the field, back to that client, and give it another shot. The reason you do it is because you know it's worth it. You know that end result is just so sweet. Do you think players such as Tom Brady really always want to be going to practice? Probably not. They do it anyways because they know how beneficial it's going to be for their big goal, that big vision. And they know if they can get it working now, they can scale that. You see, the thing about productivity, the thing about mindset, the thing about being a champion is that it scales. It compounds. It's almost as if you can compare it to a stock. If we look at it, it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And that consistent perpetual effort is going to get you to the next level. Although, there are times where it can crash too. And as it crashes, it's easy to get discouraged and decide, it's not going to work, I'm done. And the reason for that is because we see so many times in our society, whether it's in ourselves or in other people, that most people don't fully commit to their goals. They have a great idea and they stop because it got hard. They have a great project they want to work on and they quit because it wasn't working. That's not how life works. Someone once gave me an analogy that I absolutely loved. And it was based off a staircase. Imagine yourself, the best version of yourself, at the top of the staircase. And every step towards the top is a new challenge or objective. Now, every time you get on a sales call, or you do something towards your business, or you try a new idea, or you just put some effort into a new project, you take another step off the staircase, upwards towards that best version of yourself. Now, does that mean everything you do is going to be successful? Well, it kind of depends on what you define success as. However, there are going to be times where you fail. And that's okay. Because even when you fail, you still move up the staircase because you still were able to give it a shot towards what might make you the next world champion. Being the champion simply means that you refuse to give up, even when everything points towards you giving up. And the funny thing about having that champion's mindset is that it doesn't take too long to look back and remember the reason you started. What brought you here right now? What put you in this course right now? What put you on the path to want to help others and also start helping yourself? It's one of those things that as we understand, we're able to start growing and building. And something really funny about that is as we take on new projects, new ventures, we'll start to see that everything kind of has the same principles. Now, that something could be having a really good friendship or a really good relationship or having a good family interaction. And we take that and we take the principles from that and apply it into our business or apply it into anything else. Because when you understand how something works, you're able to understand how to use it everywhere. It's almost as if it's this idea that everything is really interconnected, and understanding the framework of it helps you understand everything else. Speaking of that, everything kind of exists in frames. Whether that frame is more of like a diamond or a heart, or let's pretend this looks like a square, we can use that framing to help us understand what it is that we're even looking at. An ugly picture isn't going to be a beautiful one because you put it in a nice frame. Although, being able to put a nice frame around a nice picture is going to be able to give you the whole perspective of it. It's going to be able to help you open up and really see it. So, if we use our idea as that picture, and we use the right mindset, the champion's mindset, of the frame around that picture, we're going to be able to bring it to life. It's going to pop because we're going to be able to understand how to best make this thing beautiful, how to best make this thing the absolute, I don't want to use the word perfect here, the absolute ideal version of itself. I don't want to use the word perfect because a lot of people tend to get stuck on perfectionism and never get anything done. And the scary aspect about that is that when you're focused so hard on trying to make everything just right, sometimes you get stuck in a dead standstill. I read a quote not too long ago that I absolutely loved. And that quote was, "It's better to be going 1,000 miles per hour in the wrong direction than to be standing still. Because at least if you're moving, you can still turn around." And I couldn't agree with that more. It's a huge part of what makes me believe that productivity scales, because it actually does. If you don't believe me, tomorrow when you wake up, make your bed. Just start your day off with that. It's amazing how productive the rest of your day will be because you've already done something productive. Another fundamental aspect to being a champion, continually learning, whether that's learning about yourself or learning through reading really good books, because these things will teach you a lot about your mindset and a lot about your perspective compared to the perspective of people around you. And when you're able to understand that, you're able to provide more value to those people because you know how to provide value to those people. At the end of the day, the number one thing that will make you a champion is allowing yourself to be one, even one that's challenging, even one that's hard, even one you don't want to, because there will be days when you don't want to. There will be days when you don't feel good enough, and there will be days where people aren't motivating or encouraging you towards your goal. I had a friend who told me something beautiful once. He's a fashion designer, and he looked at me and he said, "People are always going to dislike what you do, and that's okay as long as you love it. Because if you love it, chances are other people who are like you will love it too." Not everybody is the same, and not everybody has the same mindset. Although being able to really understand what your mindset is compared to the mindset of the people around you and still find the principles to add value to them is what makes you a champion. I have another piece of homework for you. I want you to sit down and define 3 words for me: success, goal, and failure. Because if we can understand what those things are, we can start to understand how we can apply those to ourselves, figure out our reason for even starting, and figure out where it is you want to go. You see, starting this project, you might run into challenges right away, or you might run into something that's a challenge 6 months in. I remember the first time I started personal training. I've literally been a personal trainer for like 2 months. And I had my first client. My first client happened to be a young man who had autism. And the funny thing about that was that since I'd never worked with a client, I was terrified. I had absolutely no idea how to work with this young man. However, In using the principles of figuring out how to relate to him and how to be able to provide value to him, not only did I really start to understand John, I started to get really good at it. And as a result, he taught me so much, not only about myself, about how to provide values to others and connect to them where they're at. You see, if I sat there and tried to explain every technical aspect to John, it wasn't going to work for him because John was way more of a visual learner. However, when I was able to understand that, and when I was able to understand how to relate to him, I was able to start actually helping him and to start creating more value for him. And in turn, creating value for myself. You have to be able to take on hard situations, even when the task at hand seems impossible. The truth of the matter is that if your goal doesn't scare the hell out of you, you're thinking too small. You need to be chasing things that are way bigger than yourself, because if you can do that, if you can sit down and really chase something huge, even if you don't make it, you'll still make it so much further than you would if you didn't try. Getting right down into it. Being a champion means being able and willing to do what others will not. It doesn't mean that you're better than someone else. It means that you try harder. It means that you have more effort, more drive. You will only be outworked if you let someone outwork you. So don't. Put everything you have into completing this and achieving this now. Because if you're able to create that for yourself right now, you may never have to again. I'm going to leave you with this. In order to be a champion, you must first understand what a champion is. Find your steps to becoming that ideal version of yourself and start taking steps up that staircase. Because one day you will reach the top of that staircase. Although when you get to the top, there's going to be another flight waiting for you. And I hope you're ready to take that flight on. When you think you're done something, you're really only 40% of the way there. There's 60% left. What are you going to do about it? It's the last quarter, last inning. Do you really want to sit on the bench in your own life and watch someone else's highlights? Or do you want to be the star of your own show? Let's start making you the star today by making you a champion with the Champion's Mindset.